super complex shapes. Okay, I promised you this video because what happens here? Well, I got this and I got this, and I want to produce a little tiny gun that sits here. Okay, and it's all in the detail really. Now, if I produce a gun here, should I attach that to the actual mesh? And my answer for that would be no, because it leads into super complex objects. And super complex objects produce super complex UVs, and they're impossible to UV correctly half the time. So it becomes a texturing issue later on down the road. It also ends up in a very high polygon issue. If I was to somehow figure out how to get this form from this form, I would have to add a lot of edge loops in here, and it would muck up my first form. It will also add too many polygons to it. So rather than do that, it's much better to have two separate objects. So I'm going to go and produce a little tiny gun here, just as an example. So please watch. Okay, so there's my gun. And to hit it home, I just wanted to pause for a second and talk. And that was all real time. It wasn't sped up or anything. And what I want to do is tell you that this is a cool little form I've built from this form here. But it serves no realistic properties whatsoever, hardly. Except for the handles, maybe. So another thing I like to hit home for new students is the fact that you want to build your models with some kind of usability. If I look at this thing, does it look like a gun? It sort of does. I can probably get that it's a gun, but it needs something, right? It needs maybe some kind of detail here stating that there's some kind of action going on, that it's an actual gun. In other words, I could take this and maybe extrude it in like that. And maybe extrude that in. Thereby leaving a hole for the cartridges to go into if I brace it. Okay? And that's an if. So if I insert an edge loop, how would I brace this so it's a square? This is kind of a super complex thing that you just go in here and you insert the edge loop after the extrude instead of before the extrude. So if I insert an edge loop here and here, that should work. I don't want to insert this one because what happens is when I hit 3, you're going to find out that the top of the actual gun does this. So this is a super complex form. It's one of those things that you got to know where to place the edge loops at in order for the structure still to look nice. Okay, and I should get into the fact that there is a lot of history now, so you should probably delete it. And another thing is, when I insert an edge loop here, you notice I undid. Well, not all students undo. What they usually do is some kind of hit delete on the keyboard. Never, ever delete an edge like this. If you have to delete it, you have to delete it using the delete edge vertice, because if you do not, it leaves vertices behind and then I mark you down for it. Okay, so that's how you get rid of an edge. You delete edge vertex. So just with these two right here, this edge loop and this edge loop into position, I should be able to hit 3 and you'll see that it has a nice little gap here for bullets. So in the next video, I want to show you that you can produce little objects from big objects.